You think you know ancient Egypt. Oh, look, big triangles, people walking sideways, mommies. Wrong. What if I told you that for the first few centuries, ancient Egypt wasn't a paradise? It was essentially a Mad Max wasteland where warlords with names like the Scorpion King smashed people's heads in just to control a few muddy puddles of water. And the craziest part, by the time the famous Cleopatra was born, the Great Pyramids were already more ancient to her than they are to us right now. Yeah, the timeline's broken. Welcome to the Rise of Egypt. Let's fix the lore. Okay, to build an empire, you need a cheat code. Egypt had the ultimate cheat code, the Nile. While the rest of the world was busy starving or freezing, the Nile flooded like clockwork every single year, dumping magical, nutrient-rich mud on the banks. It was an infinite food glitch. More food equals more people. More people equals, well, eventually an army. But for a long time, Egypt was split in two. Upper Egypt in the south, which is confusing, I know, blame elevation, and Lower Egypt in the north. They hated each other. Until a guy named Narmer, or Menes, historians are still fighting about it, showed up around 3100 BC. He looked at the map and said, why have two Egypts when you can have the big one? He united the lands the old-fashioned way, by bonking everyone else on the head. Boom. Dynasty 1. The game has officially started. This brings us to the Old Kingdom. This is the era of the big flex. The pharaohs weren't just kings, they were literal gods on earth. And what do gods need? Giant, pointy rocks. Photo of the Giza pyramids. A price tag graphic pops up reading $3 trillion. Khufu builds the Great Pyramid. It's the tallest building on Earth for the next 3,800 years. This wasn't built by aliens and it wasn't built by slaves. Mostly. It was built by paid workers during the off-season. Think of it as a massive government jobs program, but instead of fixing potholes, you're building a stairway to heaven for your boss. Fun fact, they were paid in bread and beer. The pyramids were literally built on a slight buzz. Host looks at his watch. Music stops abruptly, a slide whistle down effect. But empires are like Jenga towers. If you build too high without a good foundation, it crashes. Droughts hit. The Nile stopped flooding. The local governors, nomarchs, realized, hey, the pharaoh is just a guy in a hat who can't make it rain. Chaos ensued for 100 years. We call this the First Intermediate Period, which historians speak is a total dumpster fire. Fast forward past the Middle Kingdom. Sorry, Middle Kingdom, you were boring. We arrive at the New Kingdom. This is the Golden Age. This is the Egypt you see in movies. They realized that sitting behind the desert wasn't enough. To be safe, they had to go on the offense. Map of Egypt expanding outward into the Middle East and down into Nubia, red color spreading like ink. Meet the Avengers of ancient Egypt. Character card appears. Hatshepsut. Stats, INT, 100. Strength, 80. Beard, fake. Number 1, Hatshepsut. A woman who ruled as a king. She wore a fake beard, expanded trade, and built one of the coolest temples ever. She proved you don't need to be a dude to be a god king. You just need good PR. Character card, Thutmose III. Stats, aggression, 1000. Wins, all of them. Number 2, Thutmose III, Hatshepsut's stepson. He was basically the Napoleon of Egypt. He never lost a battle. He captured Megiddo, which is where the word Armageddon comes from, and expanded the empire to its largest size ever. Character card, Ramesses the Great. Stats, ego, infinity. Kids, 100 plus. This guy loved two things, building statues of himself and making babies. Seriously, he had over 100 kids. He lived to be 90 when the average life expectancy was died of a tooth infection at 30. He signed the world's first peace treaty with the Hittites, proving the pen is mightier than the sword, although he used plenty of swords too. So, they built big rocks and conquered some neighbors. Why should you care? Because for 3,000 years, Egypt was the anchor of the Mediterranean. They gave us paper, papyrus, the 365-day calendar, architecture that the Greeks and Romans copied, looking at you, Washington, D.C., and the concept of a national identity. Rapid-fire images of obelisks in Paris, London, Rome, NYC. They were so successful that they eventually fell victim to their own hype. They stopped innovating. The Persians, Greeks, and Romans caught up. But for a glorious moment, the Empire of the Nile wasn't just a civilization. It was civilization. The Egyptian empire fell, but let's be honest. If I built a triangle so big that tourists are still paying to see it 4,500 years later, I'd call that a win. If you want to join our empire, smash that subscribe button. It's easier than moving a 2-ton limestone block. And click here to watch a video about how the Romans totally ripped off Egyptian style.